Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Get Sweaty. I am your man, the Canadian Soda. As usual, I am joined by Ben Rayner, 50 Shades of Geek, and Sol Govan. How's it all going, my people?
Doing good.
Nice of you to say her name properly this time.
He's been saying properly for a few times, so that's why I haven't corrected him.
I think after the Yiddish part of it came out, I've been good.
Which is weird because now you look more Yiddish than ever.
Yeah, all I'm missing is the little hair tassels, huh?
Yeah.
L'chaim. What does that mean, by the way? L'chaim. Like, what does it translate to?
Cheers. Good luck.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Basically, it means cheers, but the actual translation is to life.
Oh, okay. Well,
Salud, which means to good health. So
yeah,
that's our cheers.
I don't think we have one in French. Not that I know of. I've never really done any
like it's salud, which is SALU Spanish. I think it's SALU French. It's the same word. I'll Google it later.
All right.
Tell them it is in the comments.
Someone came prepared.
Okay, well, that's enough conversation. Let's hop right into our topic because I got a feeling that's gonna produce a lot of conversation. So this was your topic, 50, so you introduce it.
So I had the top 5 movies of 2020. Now, I know 2020 has been a rough year for all of us for a lot of different reasons, but there's still some movies that came out that year. Now, it was a lot easier than most years because, like I said, there were a lot less movies, but I was a little shocked that none of you actually had it as a topic in any of the videos we had since 2020 ended. So let's at least try to look at the positives of 2020, the movies we liked.
Okay. Well, everyone wants to forget 2020, so... And honestly, looking back, like I went on Wikipedia and I used the list of American releases. It's like, oh fuck yeah, some of these did come out in 2020. Okay, so
for me, this was pretty hard. I had to watch a lot of releases. Probably, I think Ben is the same, so that's why we did. On my honorable mention movies that I have seen that I know I was in probably my top 5 if I had.
All right.
Yeah.
50. Sorry, not 50. Sol, you're cutting in and out a little bit there.
Yeah.
I am.
You want to hop out, come back in? Can you hear me?
I don't think she can hear you.
Okay. Sol, pop out and come back in.
Maybe use the private chat.
I'll put it in our messenger group.
Should I start my number 5 without her? I don't want to start without her.
Yes, gotta love dead air.
It's okay. We'll fix it in post.
Yeah, we could. We definitely could. Because it's really just a frozen screen of blur on my end. I don't know about you guys. There we go.
There we go. Yeah. All right. Why don't? Can you see me, Matt?
Oh yeah, you're not the blurry one. It was the whole thing that was blurry. No,
So,
you're good.
Why don't 50? You want to go?
I'm good.
Okay.
But I want to wait for Sol to start the list.
Okay.
So how was your guys' week?
Yeah. It was a week.
Yeah, I hear you. I found out my my bosses, who the company has been in their family for 40 years, sold it this week.
Oh.
And so we're doing a massive transition, and it's going to be nuts for the next little while.
Yeah, it was a good week. Missed you on Shooting the Breeze. We had a great conversation on this week.
Okay, Hopefully this goes better.
Hopefully.
Okay, so we hadn't started because 50 wanted to wait for you for the.
Aw.
Go ahead, my dude.
Okay, so I'm giving you a warning in advance. There might be some noise from my end in about a minute, but let's start anyway. Okay, my number 5 almost didn't make the cut. Scoob.
Oh, that's on my honorable mentions.
Really?
It is. It was a good movie. Better than
I loved it. Do you want to talk about it now, or should we wait for your honorable mention?
No, it's because it's on your list. Let's talk about it. It's only on my honorable mentions. So
Okay, so Scoob, the Scooby-Doo movie that I don't even know where I was supposed to go with that conversation. Sorry, hold on. Let me just regather my thoughts. Okay, so I am a massive Scooby-Doo fan, like especially the old '60s, the original series. I really like that show. The live-action Scooby-Doo movies, take him or leave him. I mean, I was a fan of them when they came out.
First one was
My-
good.
I like the first one.
I think I prefer the second one. The first one, looking back on it, like Rowan Atkinson is like an evil cult leader. There's the noise from my end. An evil cult leader that converts teenagers into monsters, which it all ended up being just a robot controlled by Scrappy. I mean, who came up with that? But apparently written by James Gunn. But
There you go.
Yeah.
the second one I liked. The second one, it was a throwback to the old Scooby-Doo stuff. It brought back some of the original monsters and some of the original characters. I really enjoyed it. But this one, the animated one, I liked it. I mean, obviously, no surprise here. I lost my dog last year, and it was a very, very emotional time for me. Now, fortunately for me, I was able to watch that movie before that happened. I don't know if I'll have the stomach to watch that movie again now, because the movie specifically deals with how to handle the loss of your pet, specifically a dog in some of the characters' case. So I don't know if I'll have the stomach to watch that movie again, but maybe it'll be therapeutic for me to go back there. But I thought the humor was like the same Scooby-Doo '60s humor that we've been used to. I liked the fact that they tried to make this a shared cinematic universe of Hanna-Barbera characters. Like I know it was perceived wrongly, but I don't know. I liked it. I liked that they brought in the Blue Falcon and Dick Dastardly. And I liked the little cameo by Captain Caveman. I lost my mind when Captain Caveman showed up.
Oh,
like, imagine we live in a world where we've seen Infinity War and Endgame and yesterday's episode of WandaVision, no spoilers, but the appearance of Captain Caveman in a Scooby-Doo movie, that was crazy for me. So, yeah, I hope, I know that we're planning to release it in theaters, but since it was released on HBO, was it on HBO Max?
Yeah.
No, you had to buy it. You had to buy it.
You had to buy it, yeah.
Oh, okay. So I hope we at least get to see a sequel, because they're clearly setting up. If you watch the credits for that movie, they're clearly throwing every single Hanna-Barbera character under the sun into this universe. So I really hope we get to see a continuation of that.
I think that was the point. I think this was supposed to be like the start of a shared universe.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it's pretty evident in the movie and especially the credits. Like I said, so I hope this happens. Just the movie came out under very limiting circumstances, unfortunately.
Yeah.
All right,
Ben,
Mr. Rayner.
My number 5 is a super. I don't ever have a superhero movie. It's the only. I'll call it a superhero movie. It's the only one I watched last year. Birds of Prey.
that is on my honorable mention.
It's a superhero movie.
It almost made my top 5.
Yeah, same.
It was a fun movie. Is it one of the best? No, but I love Harley Quinn and I love Margot Robbie. She did a fantastic job bringing that character to life. And I liked all the characters. Was the story great? No, but I had fun with it. It kind of reminded me of DC's Deadpool in a way.
In a way. Oh, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they do make Harley Quinn into DC's Deadpool.
Oh yeah.
And what
They
I
did it in
didn't
the comics.
understand was all the hate for that movie too. People didn't
There was
like it,
hate?
and I was like, "Yeah, people didn't like that movie. People were hating on it." On the, I was like, "What the hell?" The
Really, I don't
movie was a
remember any
lot of
hate.
fun.
I don't remember any hate for that one compared to the other massive superhero release of last year.
Yeah, definitely. I'm on the side of the people that didn't necessarily like it, but I didn't hate it. I mean,
Yeah.
it was enjoyable to watch, but it wasn't great.
Mhm.
Not one of my favorite movies of last year, but still, all the hate that movie got was really unwarranted. I mean, and also a lot of people liked it. It was, again, DC staying on brand, very divisive, but hey,
Yeah.
at least it was received better than a lot of than Suicide Squad. Let's put it that way.
Oh,
Uh,
100%.
I did. I liked it. Yeah, I put it like right in the middle of DC movies for me.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's definitely middle to higher for sure.
Yeah. Matt, what's your number 5?
Okay, so this one is a sequel to a Netflix movie that came out 2 years, well, in 2018. It's called The Babysitter Killer Queen. This movie is a freaking riot. The first one is the better of the two, but this, oh my lord. So basically, I'm going to read a little bit of the plot here. 2 years after a satanic cult led by his former babysitter B tried to kill him, Cole is now a junior in high school. He is unable to convince anyone except for his best friend Melanie of B's life-threatening plot. His parents and most others think he had a psychotic break. He discovers that his parents had enrolled him into a psychiatric school, and he escapes with Melanie along with her boyfriend Jimmy and their friends Boom Boom and Diego to go join a lake party. And while they're at the lake party, the cult comes back, and it's revealed that Melanie is actually the new leader of the cult. And this whole thing, like, now they're all trying to kill Cole, and he's just like, is this all in my head sort of thing? It's just basically like a send up of those 80s horror slasher films. And the laughs in it are pretty great. At the very end, B comes back, and it's revealed that the reason why she joined the satanic cult was to save this girl Phoebe, who is in this movie as the love interest. Nobody really knows her backstory, so it's kind of like a sweet reasoning for why she went to hell, literally. But no, the script is funny. It's fast paced. It goes by so quickly. I loved it to death when I watched it. I watched 1 and 2 back to back. It was great. That's my number 5.
Oh,
I've
have
never heard of those.
Yeah, me neither.
Definitely,
I have two
definitely watch the
questions.
first one. It is before I get to your question 50. It is like, it's a gory movie. It's a horror movie, but it's so worth it. It's so worth it.
Ooh, I don't like horror movies.
Watch it with a
Me
drink.
neither.
50.
I have 2 questions. How much were you smoking when you saw that movie, and do you have anything left?
Because
it
well,
sounds
not a
good.
particular batch, but yes, I was pretty high when I watched them. But the movies are right up my alley anyway, so I would have enjoyed it even if I wasn't high off my gourd. And
No.
it's, they're directed by McG, so that's always fun.
No,
Nice.
Okay.
in the same vein as like a Happy Death Day. Not kind of
Yeah, I'd say that. But the second one definitely veers off into camp.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the second one's more enjoyable than the first one?
No, I think the second one is definitely a movie that's really enjoyable while stoned. Like I said, it's a fun movie, but in terms of quality, I would go with the first one over it. But hey, like I said, it was fun. It was a fun night. It was a fun night. Okay, 50.
I have fun.
You're number 5.
Okay, so
Come on,
my
Matt.
number,
Skipping women.
my my number 5 is an HBO documentary called Siempre Luis, which this is about Lin-Manuel Miranda's father, Luis Miranda. So he's a super interesting guy, born and raised in Puerto Rico. He ends up moving to New York for college. He worked in politics. He was a consultant for helping get out the Latino vote in New York, and actually helped both Chuck Schumer and Hillary Clinton get elected as senators. And so, like, that was like the very short part of the beginning, which is like showing his background. The main part of this documentary is actually him trying to help Lynn get Hamilton to Puerto Rico. So to basically make money for the Puerto Rican people after Hurricane Maria, and just all the problems with that, because Puerto Rico was absolutely devastated by Hurricane Maria. So getting a stage and a place like actually in good standing, so that way they can actually perform the musical Hamilton there. That was so all of like the difficulties with that is having it be like a place where you can actually show a musical, because the island was absolutely devastated.
Mhm.
So it was a very interesting documentary. And also he like adopted another kid who's in high school. He's the kid. I forget what age the kid got adopted. So he's actually raising another kid too in it. And it also like they talk about how for like In the Heights they ran the Tony Awards like a political campaign,
Hmm.
trying to get people to like, hey, you should vote for my son's musical.
Hmm.
And he actually ended up winning the Tony for In the Heights. And it's funny, you have all of Lin-Manuel Miranda's aunts and uncles and cousins in Puerto Rico. So that part is like the parts that are in Spanish because they speak Spanish. But like it's his aunt was like joking about how they told us, oh, don't be those people and like shout and be loud at the Tony Awards. You have to be proper and sit there. And then like when Lynn won, she was like, I stood up and I yelled and I almost fell over the balcony. Like, so it's,
Awesome.
but it's a very interesting documentary. It's on HBO Max. I recommend to see it. It was a lot of fun. And if you like the musical Hamilton, and if you like Lin-Manuel Miranda and all of his stuff, definitely go check it out.
Right on.
Right.
Nice. Haven't seen Hamilton, but I'm a Lin-Manuel Miranda fan.
Dude, you have to see Hamilton.
Yeah. Disney Plus.
How? How?
Disney Plus.
No.
What
Pirates.
is Disney Plus?
Pirates of the
What is
Caribbean,
this
man.
foreign world you live in?
You have
If
been
you-
waiting 50. You know it. If you really want to
how are you
find a way.
watching WandaVision?
Yeah.
Am I watching WandaVision?
Oh.
Get a VPN, 50.
This reference will make sense to people who watched Shooting the Breeze yesterday. Morse code.
Okay, Mr. Morse Code, what's your number 4?
Okay, my number 4, Eurovision, the Story of Fire saga.
I have not seen that. That's
I
the
have
Will
not
Ferrell
seen
film,
it.
right?
Yeah, none
I've
of you
not
seen that?
No.
What is wrong with you people?
I'm gonna confess right here. Outside of Anchorman, I'm not big on Will Ferrell as a leading actor.
Really.
I love
Yeah.
Will Ferrell.
This
I
movie
love
might
when he's
change
a
your mind.
supporting character and he's not shouldering the brunt of the movie. So
Do you like Talladega Nights? Because usually people
Nope.
who aren't Will
Could
Ferrell
not stand
fans love Talladega
could
Nights.
not stand it.
How about Elf?
Okay, I liked Elf. Okay. All right. Anyways,
I'm
this is
telling
your
you-
pick 50.
I'm telling you, you gotta watch Eurovision. He's so good in it. Rachel McAdams also very good in it. Dan
Canadian
Stevens,
girl.
I almost got his name for a second there. Yeah, Canadian, and they watch the credits of the movie. I'm not gonna
Okay.
spoil the movie for you, but it was great. I mean, as someone who's not necessarily a Eurovision fan, like I like certain years better than others, but I wouldn't consider myself a Eurovision fan. I don't watch the Eurovision too much. I don't listen to the songs too much. I have had some problems with some of the songs in the past, which really got me a lot of hate on the YouTube. Let's just say that. All of that aside, I really like this movie. I watched it 2 or 3 times, like back to back to back. I loved that movie. And it was one of my favorite movies I believe my second favorite 2020 movie for a very long time, until some of the other ones on my list came along. So yeah, I think it was a great representation of what the Eurovision is and how it's perceived. And I'm curious to see how Americans think about that movie, because Americans famously don't celebrate the Eurovision. They don't know it. A lot of American people I've talked to have no idea what the Eurovision is. A lot of people I talked to
I only know what it is because of
So
Tumblr.
the only reason I know what it is because ABBA was on it.
And you're Canadian. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure Canada is in the Eurovision, I think.
Probably. And also we're more cultured in Canada than most Americans. I'm
I,
kidding.
know-
I'm kidding.
I only know about it because of Tumblr.
Oh. Okay.
Okay.
The
I
Tumblr
only
people
know
out
about it
there who
because.
watch, you know what I'm talking about.
Okay, good.
Basically, it's
Also,
International American Idol. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Except before American Idol, it's the original.
yeah.
It's a good way to describe it.
So, also an interesting fact: the year before this movie came out, Israel actually won the Eurovision that year in 2019, I believe. It was either 2019 or 2018, but when Israel won, they actually shot the film in Israel, in the big stage on Tel Aviv. No, sorry, my bad. I messed up here. So Israel won in 2018, and as per Eurovision rules, the country that wins hosts the Eurovision next year. So we won 2018, 2019. We hosted the Eurovision in Israel, in Tel Aviv, and they actually shot certain sequences for the movie in the live stage on Tel Aviv. And it
Oh,
was in the
wow.
movie. So a lot of the audience you see are the audience from the Eurovision in Tel Aviv, which is kind of cool. And also they had it's no spoiler because they put it in all the trailers. They had this big song and dance sequence where they bring on lots of Eurovision winners from the past, people who won the Eurovision. The Israeli representative of the Eurovision won was in that sequence. So I'm seeing not much enthusiasm from any of you guys. I'm sorry.
It's interesting.
And then you want to know? I do know. I have background information. So the reason Will Ferrell knows about Eurovision is because his wife is Swedish,
It's Swedish, yeah.
and so she was the one who introduced him to Eurovision. And then when he watched it, he was like, "I gotta make a movie out of this."
And there's a lot of Swedish representation in that movie. Just saying,
Very nice.
because the obvious Swedish connection.
Yeah. It is on my radar. I'll just leave it at that. It is on my radar to watch because I do love music.
Yeah, you would love this movie. I'm curious to see if you'll actually like the Eurovision itself because it's music, but it's taken to a crazy extreme level. I'll just say that.
I love a little crazy in my life.
I've seen videos and stuff of it, and it's just absolutely insane, and it's hilarious.
I gotta look something up to show you, Matt. Maybe it'll convince you to actually watch the actual Eurovision. But in the meantime, go ahead, Ben. You're number 4.
My number 4 is probably one of the best video game movies that came out ever. And I can't believe I'm saying this. I had fun watching this movie. Sonic.
That's on my honorable mentions.
My honorable mention.
The last movie I saw in theaters.
Wow.
I didn't even see this movie. Maybe that's why I liked it so much. I don't know. But
It was the last movie I saw in theaters too.
Yeah. But you know what, Ben?
Wow.
You're right. It's a good movie. It's better than it had any right to be.
Right.
And-
I really enjoyed it too. There was some parts of it that I was just like, this is a little weird, like the whole like police stuff, and I was like, they're going a little too far here. But other than that, I enjoyed the movie a lot.
And I'm sorry, Jim Carrey. Well, A, he was the best thing in that movie.
Of course.
And B,
Definitely.
it's amazing he's not in years, I think.
Yeah, it is the Jim Carrey of old.
Yeah.
This is the best comedic Jim Carrey we've gotten since Yes Man.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Yeah. And I really liked Ben Schwartz as Sonic.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Ben Schwartz is a great choice.
And
I'll say this. The trailers kind of had me worried, especially the first one where Sonic looked terrible. But what really scared me was the Jim Carrey stuff because I did not think Jim Carrey looked good in those trailers. Totally changed my mind as soon as I saw the movie. He was great. He was,
and then in the post credits, we got classic look Robotnik.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the entire movie he wasn't necessarily the Robotnik that I'm used to, but right at the end there, and I'm super excited for the sequel that is reportedly filming right now.
Yeah.
I have a
Especially if you see the post-credit scene.
I have a question. Talking about that post-credit scene. Mine is spoiler. Mine is spoiler. Mine that came out last year. Was that the Mushroom Kingdom?
I think it was, yeah.
I think it
Yeah.
was.
Any more to me? Okay.
Yeah, I think he's stuck there, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
so it's
Oh,
going to be
he'll be back.
interesting what they do in the second movie and how he'll come back to Earth or how people will go to the Mushroom King. It's going to be interesting what avenue they choose
It
in the
will
second
only
movie.
be interesting to see if not does indeed the Mushroom Kingdom. Could we get a cameo by a certain Flubber?
No, no, come on, man. It's not.
Well,
I don't think so.
don't forget, Sonic, wait, weren't they both in
Sega's not
Wreck-It
owned by
Ralph?
Nintendo.
Okay, maybe.
Oh,
Like
really?
really,
No?
the only way you'd ever get that crossover would be in like a Wreck-It Ralph. I don't think they'd
Okay,
ever do a video game universe like that.
Mm.
okay.
Yeah, like
It would be
that
interesting if they ever did do it, but
it would
I don't
be.
think so.
I'm not talking like a full blown crossover. I'm just talking like maybe
A
a
cameo.
5 second cameo.
See, I could definitely see like Mario being referenced,
Yeah,
but
okay.
a cameo, I don't know if that's would be possible. Because the thing is, a lot of these companies they're not interested in like they're more interested in money and hoarding it all for themselves. They don't like to share.
I think the only way you can actually get it is it's kind of like in a Who Framed Roger Rabbit
Yeah.
way where Bugs Bunny and Mickey had to have the same amount of lines. Like
Hmm.
literally, they were like, "Oh, they can be in a scene together, but they have to have an equal amount of lines. Otherwise, we're not doing this,"
Yeah.
kind of thing. And like the line that they
Same
had to
thing with
tell.
Donald Duck and Duffy Duck in that
Correct.
one
Yeah,
scene.
and that's
Yeah.
my favorite part of the movie. Big Daffy Duck fan here.
Okay, Matt,
Now,
what's your number?
you realize this means war.
Damn, that's good.
That was really good.
Thank you.
I can never do the lisp. Okay, so
Matt,
my
your
number
number.
4 is oh god, how when did the second one come out? It is a movie that was 30 years in the making. Bill and Ted Face the Music.
Punt,
Okay.
punt.
Okay, Saul, you're number 3.
All right.
You're number 4, sorry.
My number 4 is a Netflix movie, and it is a sequel, and it's To All the Boys, P.S. I Still Love You, from To All the Boys I've Loved Before is the first movie.
Yeah.
And
You'll haven't seen either of them.
these are based on books that I have not read
Mhm.
and do
Oh,
not own.
I didn't realize that was a thing.
But the first movie, all of Laura Jean's love letters get out. So she wrote love letters to basically like get her feelings out, and then she like put it away in a box in her closet to never get out to anyone. But she did put everyone's addresses on them and stamps, but she never meant for them to get out. And the small spoiler from the first movie is her little sister, to spice up her life, actually sends them out to people. And so all of these people who she wrote love letters to get mailed a love letter from her,
Oh.
basically. And so the hilarity that ensued and all the stuff that happened in the first movie, very funny with that. The sequel is another person who received one of her love letters comes in. And I don't want to like spoil any more
Yeah.
from the first movie because it is a sequel. It's a lot of fun. It is, I would say, like a guilty pleasure, but I'm not guilty for it. Like I feel no guilt.
Yeah.
It's super cute and it's a Netflix movie, and go watch it.
Yeah. Like I've personally never really been a fan of the guilty pleasure thing. Because I mean, if you like it, you like it. You shouldn't feel guilty about it.
Mm.
Yeah, the first one's been on my radar. I actually didn't even know the second one came out.
And the
Me
third
neither.
one's coming out like I think next month.
Cool. Wow.
Either this month or next month. So you'll have all three. They're all based on books. I have not read the books.
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever will. I enjoy the movies, but I don't think it's enough for me to actually read the books. Weirdly.
Yeah. Right on. I'm big into rom coms. I've always loved them. I'm a softie.
Oh, then you'll love it. You will love it.
All right, is it as good as Always Be My Maybe?
It's, I would say somewhere like it's just as cute as Always Be My Maybe.
Here, then I will really like it. Okay,
You're not gonna hear that.
Daffy, what's your number 3?
Well, thank you for that. Okay, so number 3 was my number 2, but then it got bumped to number 3 because of the number 1, which I mentioned in yesterday's Shooting the Breeze. But I'm sorry, Saul. It's Mulan again. I'm sorry. I know
you should not apologize for that.
No apologies there.
Because of the circumstances surrounding that movie, but
yeah,
I didn't like the movie. I just like it.
Yeah, you should judge the movie based on its merits, not on the circumstances.
So I haven't watched the movie, so I can't say whether it's good or not because I haven't watched it. And you have, and if you enjoy the movie, and anyone else who's watching, if you've enjoyed Mulan, like that's good on you. I'm not gonna yuck your yam. The only thing is, I personally don't want to watch it because of the circumstances, and that's just where I stand. But if you love the movie, you love the movie, and I'm not gonna hate you for that.
It was a good movie. It's just nowhere on any of my list.
I like the movie. I really like the movie. I watched it, and then I loved it so much. I immediately watched the original one right after. Mm. I loved it so, and that's when you know a remake does its job, when it makes you want to go back and revisit the original. That's why I always take offense when people just maybe not offense, but I just don't understand these people who just are hating on the idea of remakes in general. Because that's what remakes do. They get people into the original movies. Like, I think I've mentioned this before, but here's my Lion King reference for the day. When the remake of the Lion King came out, I've seen people with Lion King T-shirts and hoodies all over the everywhere I go. Like, I didn't see that before that the remake came out. Like, it reinvigorated the franchise and brought that movie back into the public eye, and that's good in my opinion. You can like or hate the movie as much as you like, but the fact that the remake, love it or hate it, brought back that love and nostalgia to people, and people think nostalgia is a bad word these days, and I don't understand how. Nostalgia, it's a good thing. It brings you back to your childhood memories. How is that a bad thing? Like, seriously, how is that a bad thing? So I had the same. Yeah, people just want to, paint certain movies.
People just want to complain about something.
Yeah, some people just want to watch the world burn.
Complain. But I'm not ready. I don't think I'm ready enough to say that I like the remake better than the original. I just think, no circumstances again. I just think it was a better made movie than the original, which is something that I say about a lot of the new Disney remakes. I think my second favorite movie of all time is still always going to be Beauty and the Beast.
Mm-hmm.
I think live action, while it wasn't my favorite, I think it did a better job as a movie than the original animated one, and I think the same about the live action Mulan. Now, am I a little bit upset that they? What?
That's how I feel about Footloose.
Okay,
I get a lot of shit for that, but that's how I feel about Footloose.
I like that remake. I thought that remake was pretty good.
Footloose or Beauty and the Beast?
Both.
Well,
yeah. See that's again goes back to people who like to complain about stuff and just for the sake of complaining. Now, speaking of complaining, am I a little bit upset that there was no Eddie Murphy's Mushu? Kinda. Do I think an Eddie Murphy's Mushu would have worked in that movie? Absolutely not. Like, it's not the same kind of movie. A talking dragon with the voice of Donkey from Shrek isn't going to work. I'm sorry. Like, there's no, if you watch that movie, there's no way you can slice it. That character does not fit in with that world. And what I really appreciated about it is they actually gave Mulan a sister in the movie, and her name is literally Mushu. Like, according to the way Chinese naming goes, she was Fa Mu Shu, like Fa Mulan, Fa Mu Shu. So they kind of found their way to bring Mushu into the live action version. I'm also not upset that he didn't have the cricket in that movie because, again, it just wouldn't work in that context. And people who complain about, oh, you can have a flying, metamorphosizing witch that changes into a phoenix and stuff, but you can't have a dragon, not the same thing. Do not try to compare that. Like, what I love about this movie is that they went more realistic than the original version, but they didn't make it completely realistic because they still had this whole chi thing that kind of, she was basically like using the force, essentially. Again, people thought that was a bad thing. I don't know why. I enjoyed that part. And in this universe, a magic witch that can change her form, it works for me. A dragon, talking dragon, comedic dragon, does not work. Like, you can have that argument all the way. It's I don't know. I don't want to get into too much of that. I mean, it upsets me when people just try to make these annoying comparisons between these two. I'll just.
I'm
I like
actually
it.
with you on that.
What?
I am with you on that.
Thank you.
Okay, so Ben, you're
My
number
number 3 is the pun familiar. Parent 10, face the music.
Okay, so it was a minor pun. It was a 10-yard gain.
In all honesty, I completely forgot about this movie until like 10 seconds before we went live.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you. But heck, this was a fun movie.
Oh,
Good
for sure.
to back after years of waiting. They have daughters now who are carbon copies of them. And they must like the song to save the universe. Does it make a whole lot of sense? No. But it's a lot of fun and made me laugh every moment of the movie. What are your thoughts on it, Matt?
It's everything I wanted from a Bill and Ted movie. I did not want a movie that rewrote the world, even though that's what they do in the movie. But it had everything I wanted. It was funny. It was great to see Bill and Ted back. Samara Weaving, man, she's had a great year because she was in the Babysitter Killer Queen. She plays B in that, and then in the year before she was in Ready or Not. And the original Babysitter made me a huge fan of her. Like, I think she's great. She's definitely got the acting chops of her uncle. And oh my, she was really good as Bill's daughter, but my God, the actress who played Ted's daughter, holy shit. Talk about a carbon copy. Like, my God.
Now, I have to ask, what do you think happened with the live personalities? Did Bill and Ted's personalities just say they do it and other clones? I mean, how
No,
are they that much?
They're their
alike?
daughters. They're their daughters. And it was great. They brought everybody back that was still alive. You brought back the actors who played both their fathers. You brought back the actors who played Missy, who married Ted's brother, played by the same actor who played the brother in the originals.
Wow,
He got a retirement for that. Oh yeah, everybody was back that they needed to bring back. It was great seeing Bill and Ted go through time, featuring all these demented versions of themselves.
And I loved what they did with the Rufus character.
Yeah, it was his daughter, named Kelly in the movie after his real life daughter, Kelly Carlin.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh.
Yeah, they did that in homage to him because it is really hard to do a Bill and Ted movie without them, and I think they did a good job without George Carlin. They did what they could.
Yeah. I don't know where I put this on my calendar yet. I think I still put Ted as my third favorite Keanu character behind Neil and behind John Wick. But this is a great movie.
Yeah.
I think John Wick is, even though it's the most recent, I think it's my favorite of Keanu.
Yeah,
Keanu is underrated. Very, very underrated.
I'm ready for. If it wasn't for 2020, we were gonna get a full-on Keanu-sance with Matrix 4, with this Bill and Ted 3. Who knows how many other things he would have done? 2020
My
ruined
number
the
one
Keanu-sance.
God.
We're still getting Matrix 4 this year.
Yeah, I'm not excited for that. I'm not a
Not
fan
a
of the
Matrix
Matrix movies. I have seen them. I have tried to like them. Not for me.
I love the
Same.
first one. I
Yeah, the
can't
first one's
tell you
amazing.
I can't tell you what 2 and 3 were about. I could.
Exactly. I've seen 2 and 3. I cannot tell you what happens in those movies, but I love the first one.
I remember a really big freeway action scene with a lot of crushed cars.
I think that's 2. But,
Maybe.
That just
I
tells
think
you how good they really are. Huh?
get the-
but the Matrix. I'm not going off on the Matrix thing right now, but the Matrix is a perfect standalone movie. You didn't need a 2 and 3. I'll watch full worshiping God coming out on HBO Max, and I don't have to go to the video for it. But yeah,
All right.
Matt, what is your number 3?
So this is the documentary that I was looking for earlier. It is the Beatles. How can you mend a broken heart? Basically, it's a documentary on the career of the Bee Gees, from when they started
You
up
say
until
Beatles or Beatles?
Yeah, you
Hold
said
on.
Beatles at first.
sorry, the Bee Gees. Okay, the Bee Gees. How can you mend a broken heart? Oy. Yeah, so basically, it tells a story about their entire lives, them growing up in Australia, how their career started, right up until Morris died in 2001, I believe, and then Robin died about within the last 10 years, and basically how Barry is the only surviving Gibb brother of the four. And it goes into like all the twists and turns of their careers, how they came across being in the disco scene because those are their biggest hits. The arguments behind the scene. I found out that Robin and Barry didn't actually get along all that well when they weren't touring and working together. They didn't really contact each other, and it was like, okay,
Robbins.
yeah. And basically, like, I've always loved the Bee Gees, but it made me go back and actually listen to more of their albums and stuff, and hearing the deep cuts, and I just fell more in love with them. And it was great to go down and learn about one of the most influential groups in music history, and they are probably some of the most. They've written a lot of massive hits for other people that didn't know they did. Like
Wow.
their career is just fascinating. And then when you hear, like, if you listen to the Bee Gees music, you know the Bee Gees music, and then you go back and you listen to the songs that were written for other artists and they were recorded, you can definitely hear the Bee Gees influence in that music.
Have you seen, this is one of my like funniest things on the internet, on YouTube, it's black people reacting to
Yes.
Staying Alive and finding out that
Yes.
the Bee Gees are not black, that they're white. Because
Yeah.
Staying Alive is in so many black movies
Mhm.
that they automatically think, oh, this is a black band. So then like they're watching the music video and out comes around these white
Yeah.
guys and they're like, what? And
They
so
go
it's
into that in the documentary to a degree and explain like where the influence for that stuff came from, and like that album and like two of their other albums were all made in Miami, so that was definitely an influence into there, right? Yeah, it's I love sitting there and watching stuff on like that goes in depth on this classic music, and then the people they have in the documentary talking about people. So you have Noel Gallagher from Oasis, you have Nick Jonas, Justin Timberlake popped up.
Wow.
Chris Martin from Coldplay popped up. Alice Cooper was on there. Celine Dion was, well, that's archival footage because they wrote music for her. Yeah, you get all these people that pop up. It's pretty cool to hear from and how they were influenced by the Bee Gees, and you can definitely hear it in their music.
Yeah.
It's great. But that's my number 3. The Beatles, the Bee Gees. How can you mend a broken heart?
The Beatles again.
Yeah. A little pre-production thing. He was talking about the Beatles and the Bee Gees, and that's probably why he's making this mistake.
Maybe.
Fun fact: I watched Yesterday.
That's a good movie, isn't it?
I love that movie.
My mom hadn't seen it. I saw it in the theater. My mom hadn't seen it, and she's a huge Beatles fan. So I said I had to show her that.
Yeah.
So
what did she think of when
like
spoilers, John Lennon popped up at the end?
At first, she was in disbelief, and it took her a while to figure out who the actor was, because we're both huge Once Upon a Time fans.
Yeah. I knew right away because I'm like, oh, the dude already looked like him.
I didn't know. I think I read on here, and even Matt.
I think it was me that told you.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah, that was one of the best movies of 2019. That was a great movie.
Yeah.
What really pisses me off. is Ed Sheeran wrote a song specifically for that movie, and he's never released it. And it is a great song. He's never
Yeah.
released it.
There might be a right thing or something.
No, he just hasn't released it.
Okay.
That's curious.
It's not on the soundtrack. It's not anywhere.
But yeah, that was my second favorite movie of 2019.
That was a great movie.
I can't remember
Yeah.
what my first one was.
The thing about when John Lennon shows up, I was like you're expecting it to be Paul McCartney, the real Paul McCartney, right?
Yeah.
It's obvious. Who else is it going to be? But then he opens the door and it's John Lennon, played by Robert Conlon. I was sitting in a theater, I was watching this, I was like, they brought back John Lennon! Wait! That's not possible, he's dead! Wait! And then
it was Wanda Maximoff brought him back.
Yeah.
Wanda Maximoff brought back John Lennon. Spoilers! And then just like my mom, it took me a while to figure out who it was, but I figured out longer than she did because she
I think once you know who it is, you see it, but before you know who it is, well, for me anyway, I didn't.
Yeah, it was definitely the voice. It was the voice that clued me into that.
God, I'm due for a rewatch of that.
Me too.
Also, I'm a big Lily James stan.
Oh, sure.
Oh, I guess we'll get into my number 3 before we let this ball keep
it's
rolling.
Yeah.
We can end up talking and going off on tangents for a long time, so let me reel it back in.
We've all got things to do today.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So my number 3 was supposed to be released in theaters, ended up not being released in theaters and released on Netflix, and that is The Lovebirds with Issa Rae and Kumail Nanjiani after the Marvel training. So we got a little bit of I don't think he was at full buff, but he was like mid buff, right? Like there was a moment where he took off his shirt and you're like, ooh, look at all that training that Kumail has been doing. I'm sure his wife Emily is very, very happy.
Mm-hmm. It's screw the haters that said he did it all on steroids. They can go fuck themselves.
Right.
They're just taking that off.
Mini tangent for a second. Have any of you seen that Jimmy Kimmel clip of Camille Onion and Jimmy giving him his first piece of cake after all his training?
No,
I have not seen that, but that's funny.
And I will send it to you. It's so funny.
And then he's been on John Lovett, who is a former Obama speechwriter. He's been on his show Love It or Leave It, Kumail Nanjiani. And then he was like, so as a fellow comedian, the second you got buff, you lost like 10% of your funny.
No.
And then like they were joking about like the funny to hot ratio, and they were having like fun with that. Goes, once you get hotter, you lose some of your funny. Like, and they're like, well, we would all make that trade, was the joke.
Yeah.
But
I got plenty of funny to go around. Please give me that hot buddy now, please.
Amen, brother. Amen.
But with The Lovebirds, it's a hilarious murder mystery, and I love seeing like a relationship on screen of two minorities of different minority descents, and so like it shows kind of, because a lot of times when you see relationships of two different like backgrounds, it's usually a white person and a black person, or a white person and an Indian, or a white person and this. So this was showing like, oh no, we can do it with the other races as well. It doesn't always have to be a mixed couple, doesn't always have to be with a white person. And the funniest scene, and this is like minor spoils, but after they think that they're going to get in trouble because they think they're running away because they think they're going to be blamed for the murder of that guy when it was someone else. And so they're sitting there and the cops come by and they're really scared that the cops are going to come and bust them. And then they walk away and they're staring at them and they walk through like, oh, thank God, they're just racist.
What's this on?
This is on Netflix.
Okay, I will definitely have to check that out.
But if you like rom-coms, You will enjoy it. It's rom-com, it's a murder mystery, it's super funny, and like there's a moment where there's a cult in the movie too. And
Okay.
That happened.
when they go into the cult's lair, something's going on there, and Issa Rae's uh, commentary on what's going on is hilarious.
Oh, the director, Michael Showalter. I love him. He was a big part of Wet Hot American Summer. I love that movie. Okay,
So
I'm
yeah,
definitely watching that tonight.
check that movie out. It's super funny. It's real lighthearted, good feeling, but it throws in all these different like genres together and breaks it like real fun.
Nice. Yeah, I'm definitely going to watch that tonight. Okay, so 50, what is your numero dos?
Was my numero uno for most of the year until a certain movie came out and changed all that. Basically, bumped all the movies on my list backwards a bit, and it was The Gentleman.
Never didn't
One of
see
the
it.
one of the few movies I saw in the theaters. It's great. I mean, it is Guy Ritchie. Took me a while to figure out the name. It was Guy Ritchie return to form what he did before the Aladdin movie, which I liked. The
Me too.
King Arthur movie, which not a lot of people enjoyed, but he was the OG Guy Ritchie. The reason people fell in love with him in the first place. The style of humor and filmmaking that really put him on the map. And basically, it was non-linear storytelling. It was basically like let's see if I can explain without spoiling it. But Ben, you're muted. Why?
He has to cough.
Chewing
Oh.
something.
That too.
Chew away. So let's see if I can explain it without spoiling too much. It's basically like a mystery with involved with like drug trafficking that, like I said, that it's kind of weird narrative. I mean, it's impossible. It's impossible to
It's a
speak
Guy
about
Ritchie movie. It's weird.
It's a Guy Ritchie movie. It's impossible to talk about it without spoiling it. But got great performances by Hugh Grant, which is completely unrecognizable in that movie. Charlie Hunnam, again, unrecognizable in that movie. Much better than any other role that I've seen him in. And obviously Matthew McConaughey, who's always great in, well, not always great, but he was great in that movie. There's Colin Farrell, which I talked with Ben yesterday on Shooting the Breeze. He's basically playing a British version of Bobby Gucci. And you'll know exactly why if you see the movie. It's incredible. Just think of Bobby Gucci from the Schmodown in British
Now
form.
I have to watch this.
You have, it is so great, and it's one of those movies. I haven't watched it since I watched it in the theater, but it's one of those movies that demand a rewatch, because then once you rewatch it, because again, it's not linear storytelling. You need to watch it again to figure out all the little hidden details you missed during the first run. That movie was great. And can I just quickly say a funny story about this?
Of course.
I got out of the theater watching it, and I still had all the Britishness in my brain after watching that movie for 2 hours. Started playing Pokemon Go, and I just started talking like a British guy, like Hugh Grant's character in that movie, and I was like, "Oh, look at that! It's a lovely little Irish, isn't it? Now I'm going to catch this lovely little Irish. Come on, little Irish! You're going to throw a Pokeball at you. Come on, get in the ball, little Irish." So somehow I started writing the script in my head of Detective Pikachu 2, the case of the missing Oddish, and it was a Detective Pikachu sequel with Ryan Reynolds and the kid and Pikachu solving shady crimes in Leaving Town. No, not Leaving Town. What's the name of the city from Detective Pikachu? Hold on.
Lavender Town?
No. That's Lavender Town is from the games. Leaving Town is where the kid was from, because he's leaving town, because Pokemon, and they always have to have hidden meanings for everything. But Rhyme City. Okay, thank you. So basically, it was a story of Ryan Reynolds and well, I'm really blanking on the kid's name right now, but him, Pikachu, and the kid solving crimes in Rhyme City, and the case of the missing Oddish, because Oddish is known as the weed Pokemon. You can kind of see where this is going. In any case, so Yeah, that was like a mock script that I had written in my head because of watching that movie. That movie is so great, and you gotta watch it, Matt, because for the Gucci references alone.
Yeah, it's gonna be. It's on my. I added it onto my watch list on Crave, so we're good.
Nice.
Okay, good.
You're
Mr.
number
Ben?
2, Ben.
So, on Nathan Plus.
Punt.
Okay.
Soul?
Yeah,
The
that is on my
UK
honorable
version
mentions.
of me, it's Soul with a U in there.
It's on my honorable mentions.
And Matt, you're number 2.
Trial of the Chicago 7.
It's on my honorable mentions.
God, that was
That's
such a
that's
great movie. Yeah, so
that's
basically,
the,
I'm sorry, what 50?
that's a movie I specifically didn't watch because of this video, because I didn't want to change my list so much. Now that I were doing this video, I can finally sit down and watch that movie.
Oh, dude, it's so good. Basically, it follows the protests outside of the 1968 Democratic Party convention and what basically happened during the events and the trial that followed. It was originally the Chicago 8, but because of racial prejudice and stuff like that, the one black guy that was on trial, he ended up being trialed separately. And hence why they became known as the Chicago 7. Sacha Baron Cohen's best role he's ever done, hands down.
Wow.
Oh,
High
yeah.
praise.
He becomes his character in this. Like, if you actually watch him and then you watch the actual guy, Abby Hoffman, it's uncanny.
Wow.
Yeah, and all the actors are great in this. You got Eddie Redmayne as Tommy Hayden, John Carroll Lynch, who Ben you'll know as Drew Carey's brother in the Drew Carey Show, is in this as David Dellinger. He's really good in this. Frank Langella as Judge Hoffman, who it was a complete douchebag. Didn't give any of these guys like leeway. Like it was a farce. Michael Keaton as Ramsey Clark, who was a former United States was it was like DOJ or Secretary of the State or something like that. Yeah, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt as one of the prosecutors. Like, great cast, great acting. Just hands down recommend watching it. And I did not watch this one high.
Good. That's not a movie to watch high.
And there is kind of a spiritual sequel, I guess you could say, coming out. In this movie, one of the
Judas
characters,
and the Black Messiah.
yes, one of the characters in this movie, in that movie, the character that follows, he's in Trial of Chicago 7, and that trial actually happens during the events of, what was the name of the title again?
Judas and the Black Messiah.
Yeah, so basically follows what happened to that character and how he got murdered and all that stuff. Great stuff.
And if you went back to watch our most anticipated for 2021, that was on my list.
Yeah, and it's become one of mine.
And
So
like I said before, and I don't know if like my internet cut me out. All my honorable mentions are movies that I have not seen in 2020, but if I did watch them, I know that they would be in my top 5, and my list would be completely different. And that Trial of the Chicago 7 is on that.
Yeah, it's such a good movie. Okay.
So what you were saying earlier with that character sounds a little bit like the guy who was in both Bohemian Rhapsody and Rocket Man, played by two different actors.
Yeah,
it sounds exactly like that.
Yep, Littlefinger and Robb Stark from Game of Thrones. Yeah,
that guy.
Yeah. Okay, so Sol, you're number 2.
Oh, wow. I just realized I was looking up the movie that I just watched last night, and I realized that it was in 2020. I thought it was a 2021 release. So I'm actually full audible changing my number 2 and putting full audible. Last night's movie is going to come to my number 1. So my punt, which was my.
So should Ben talk about Soul?
So I'm going to say my number 2 is Soul then. So Ben and I can talk about Soul. So Ben, I'll let you go first since I forced you to punt.
This is a great movie. It's about the guy who had a music teacher following on jazz play with a great jazz man. He was really happy, and then on his way to the club, he dies, goes to the great beyond, Uh, and then he means 22. Isn't that a great movie
It was
about your
the great
dreams?
before it falls. The
What?
great before, not the great beyond.
Yeah.
Okay. So you did it.
Okay.
I'm
So
sorry.
I just realized the writer of my now number one, my Audible, is also the writer for Soul, Kemp Powers. So
Okay.
that's another thing. When I was like over here Googling and I was like, oh shit. But anyways, what's funny is how much my niece loves this
I know a
movie
movie it
as
is.
Hmm.
Considering the guy's only got 4 credits.
Oh,
yeah, as a 3-year-old, she absolutely loves this movie, and she'll even be like, the music is so good that she'll be like, "Oh, I want to listen to the falling scene." And then we're like, "What are you talking about?" "Oh, from Soul, I want to listen to the falling scene." And she wants to listen to the music that happened on there. So
mm,
the first off, the music of this movie is so good. As a musician, seeing like the fact that you go into that state when you're that deep entrenched in your music, and the fact that it's not just music that can put you in that state, it can be any passion that you have.
Yeah.
And I love the joke of them where I've been messing with this team for years, and she
Yeah.
throws like the
The
whatever
Knicks.
it is, and it's the Knicks, and they miss their shot. That was, as a sports fan, that was super funny. Just the whole thing of like thinking about like your life and death and
Mhm.
life having meaning and things of that nature, and the fact too that he kind of learns that, even though, because at first he's like, oh, I want to be a musician, being a teacher is not enough, but he gave that spark in that girl who plays trombone. And so there's lessons that he learns from um 20 Soul 22, I think is her name, the by Tina Fey is the voice actor.
Yeah,
Goes, so
22.
Yeah.
he's supposed to be teaching Soul 22, and he's learning lessons from her as well. Us, like the barbershop scene is so good,
Oh yeah,
and
the one, oh yeah.
the fact too that Soul 22 being in his body is talking to the barber and asking him questions about his family
Mhm.
and his life and his dreams and of that kind of nature and what he wanted to be in life and how he ended up being a barber, but he's still happy about being a barber, even though he ended up not doing what he originally wanted to do in life. And then later goes, oh, you've never talked this way before with me. It goes, oh, you just had to ask. So it shows that this guy has been seeing this barber for
Mhm.
years and never asked this man about his life. And it just shows like little things like that can make such deep connections with people, and the fact that just asking people about their life can make people happy, can make someone's day, that you can actually feel closer to someone just by like being like, hey 50, how was your day today, like kind of thing. And so I love the movie. I love all the lessons of this movie. I even joked that this movie was more for adults than for kids, but my 3-year-old niece loves this
Pixar.
movie. And I think too, when she's older, she's going to see the things in it that she's not seeing now, just like with every Disney movie or any cartoon movie. When you watch it later in life as an adult, you're like, oh, I didn't catch that when I was a kid.
Mhm.
So the movie was great. It was originally my number one until 2 seconds ago.
Yeah, this movie hit me in the right spot. You know, watching it on Christmas and all that jazz. Yeah, great acting from all aboard. Jamie Foxx, Tina Fey, Graham Norton was in that. Questlove plays the drummer who gets Joe the audition with the band.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, yeah, no, great movie. Definitely a worthy Pixar film.
Nice.
I
All right,
loved
let's
it.
go for
And
honor. Oh,
wait,
sorry.
wait, I don't think it's a chance to talk about it.
Yeah.
It was my topic.
That's true.
So I love the movie. It's a great movie. I'm in the minority and I'm aware of that. I personally, and I talked to Ben about this yesterday, I honestly think that Onward was the better one. Was the better Pixar movie that year, but it was still a great movie. I mean, not to take away from this movie, it was incredible. Like you said, I mean, the deep connections that people make, but just by talking to each other, and the whole Pixar doesn't make movies for kids. They make movies for adults that are kid friendly and that kids can enjoy. But
Mhm.
thematically, these movies aren't for kids. I attribute this movie to it's like Ratatouille, but with music instead of food, with a
Okay.
little bit of Inside Out and Coco thrown in there, just for flavor. And it's a really great blend of a lot of different things, and there's it shows how far the animation has gone forward from Toy Story 1995 to this,
Yeah.
where you feel like it's a real city with CG people living in it. It's incredible how far we've come. The biggest leap I think I've seen for this animation was in The Good Dinosaur back in 2015, where the environment look realistic except for the CG characters. Now they moved on to cities. Who can tell what they're going to do in the future?
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole what you said about your niece thing, it's basically it goes back to the way I used to watch Pixar movies back in the day and how I watch them now. It was like, oh, it's an animated movie. I'm not gonna cry. I mean, I like the movie, but I'm not gonna cry. And then as an adult, I cannot stop myself.
Who cares?
That's,
Cry
it
if you
shows
want.
the when. Oh no! Here it comes. When Sully opens the door and Boo is there saying "Kitty."
Yeah.
Come on.
Of course.
Like as a kid, you don't understand it as much, but as an adult, nope, not gonna happen on camera. Sorry, not gonna happen on camera.
Or Coco, Miguel and his grandmother singing
Oh,
"Remember Me" to his grandmother.
Yeah.
Don't.
Let's move on, please. Let's move on.
Okay,
Please. Let's
your
move on.
honorable mentions, 50.
So there's also a lot of fan theories about Boo. I'm just gonna go on the sound on this a little bit, but there's one
I've
that
seen most of it.
Violet from The Incredibles. What were some
And
other
the old
ones?
lady from Brave.
The Witch and Brave
Yeah.
Yeah.
in the Pixar theory.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm not gonna get into that, but yeah, there's a lot of theories about who Boo ends up growing up to be.
No.
But yeah, 50-year honorable mentions.
Well, my honorable mention already mentioned here, and it was my number 5 until again the movie that immediately became my number 1, which bumped everything backwards a little bit, and it was Sonic. It was my number 5 before I saw my number 1 pick. So
Okay, my honorable mentions are Onwards, sorry, 50, and Tenet. I like Tenet, but I feel like I have to see it again to really like it.
A lot of
You
people said
shouldn't
that.
have to see a movie 2 times to understand it or to like it. That's my feeling on Tenet.
I saw it once. I understood it, no problem. Christopher Nolan is not as smart as he thinks he is, but I did not like it. And if you want to know my full opinions on that movie, watch Shooting the Breeze yesterday. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
I have not seen Tenet yet, although I was very excited about it and almost took the dive to watch it in theaters. And then I was like, no, I don't want COVID.
Yeah, don't.
You had that option.
Yeah, I'm not a bit truthfully, I've never seen a Christopher Nolan movie outside of the Batman trilogy and the
Not even Inception.
Inception?
no, never saw Inception. I did see
wow. I love
Film
that movie.
Sleep. And yeah, his movies are too pretentious for me, I guess. I'm just not into him. But I respect the guy because obviously he's a visionary. But anywho, my honorable mentions. So Birds of Prey, Scoob, Sonic, Wonder Woman 1984, which was originally on my list until I remembered about the Bee Gees documentary. That's the one that got bumped off.
You're welcome.
Yeah. And American Pie Girls Rule, which was a direct-to-video sequel, which I thought was actually pretty darn good.
Okay.
It's a similar concept to the very first American Pie, but instead it's 4 girls. But instead of like trying to lose their virginity, it's trying to find the right guy, and just the stuff that ensues in that is so funny.
So
good.
I know when you rent it when you put it in the proper American Pie,
No, it's not that good. I have them separately. You've got American Pie proper, and then you've got like the spin-offs, and I think it's the best of the spin-offs.
Okay, but it's still not that good and put it in the proper.
No.
Okay.
Nothing will ever top a reunion or tour or one. 3 weddings. Okay, and how about you?
So my honorable mentions now, The one that was my number two, so I have seen this. That was All In the Fight for Democracy, which is a documentary about depression using Abrams' race in 2018, kind of
Hmm.
like as the catalyst, and then it goes
Yeah,
through all of history and how have been forever has been trying to get not actually vote. And so that was only my number two. So the rest, I have seen these. These would be in my five. I know for sure. One of them being the Five Bloods. I watched like the first 5 minutes of it, and then my niece arrived, and we had to turn that movie off.
ooh yeah.
You understand why. So I still haven't seen The Five Bloods, but it is so high on my list to watch. I know it's going to be super high of my movies of 2020. Ma Rainey's Black Bottom too.
That's
I
on my
think
list
it's
as well.
just I haven't seen it yet because I know it's Chadwick's last performance, and that's going to hit me very emotionally. So I think that's the reason I haven't watched it yet. Borat 2, Bill and Ted 3, Trial of Chicago 7, and then this one I Googled and found out it was a 2019 movie, but it was supposed to be released in 2020. And it's a Italian movie, so it's a foreign film called The Traitor, and it's about the real life of Tommaso Buscetta, the first mafia informant in Sicily in the 1980s. So he was in the mafia and then informing on the mafia to the authorities in Italy. But
Nice.
those are my honorable mentions.
Okay.
So you have more honorable mentions than actual entries on your list.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so you're okay. You're number one, my man.
Just out of curiosity, did anyone was able to guess from the
No.
hints I've been dropping?
No,
No.
unfortunately not.
The SpongeBob movie,
Oh, of
Sponge on
course.
the Run.
It makes total sense.
I am a huge SpongeBob fan. Mostly, I'm a fan of the SpongeBob of old,
Hmm.
like the 1999 and early 2000 stuff. The first couple of seasons, that's what I grew up with, and I loved it. I still love it to this day. Then at some point, I don't know what happened. I think just the creators started taking other drugs than the ones they were using before, and it just wasn't as good. It was terrible for a lot of
Yeah.
years. It was just trash. And I remember I loved the movie, the first movie that came out 2005 or 6, something like that. I liked that. Didn't watch the second one because again, I'd fallen off SpongeBob at that point. It wasn't the same, and I didn't actually watch full episodes of SpongeBob after that. I just watched stuff online for that, but the stuff I saw got progressively worse and continued to sour my opinion on current SpongeBob. And then the second movie came out. Didn't watch that because again, falling off SpongeBob. Then the third one came out. We're all in lockdown. It was the first fully CGI SpongeBob movie, and I just saw that it dropped on Netflix one day, and I said, "Well, I ain't got nothing else to do. Might as well watch that movie." And I loved every minute of it. It was great. It brought me back to the SpongeBob that I grew up with. It was a SpongeBob of old, not the current SpongeBob, which I still believe is trash. I apologize for people who love it, but the movie just brought back the magic of old SpongeBob, while still keeping it true with the modern era of how this show is perceived. Obviously, again, I mentioned this earlier in this video, which is kind of a way to bookend my list. I started with Scoob, which I watched when my dog was still alive. I watched SpongeBob after my dog passed away. And a big part of that movie is SpongeBob's beloved pet Gary is stolen, and the entire movie is him and Patrick trying to find him and bring him back. And for pet owners, this movie is going to speak more true than other people, and it's just love your pets. That's all this movie has to say. And to not go back to tears again, I'll just say that Keanu Reeves, which I mentioned earlier, one of the best Keanu Reeves character. I mean, Keanu Reeves was just the best in general, but his character in this movie, which is not a cameo, people assume that Keanu Reeves in this movie is a cameo. It is not a cameo. He's full on a minor character in this movie. He plays
Really?
an old sage. What?
And okay, never mind. Continue. I'm sorry.
Okay, so he basically plays an old sage who lives inside a tumbleweed. And it leads into my absolute favorite line of dialogue from last year, where after he meets SpongeBob and Patrick, he says his name is Sage, and they're like, "Oh, that's a cool name." And he's like, "Thanks. I'm made out of sage, and I am a sage, so it works out pretty great." And then
Yeah.
Patrick, the immortal line, "I'm Patrick. My name means toaster in Celtic."
Oh my god.
Look at him, and he's like, "Pretty sure it doesn't."
Mhm.
But yeah, my favorite line of dialogue from 2020 and my favorite movie from 2020. Now, you all hate my pick. Why?
No, I'm actually curious to look it up, but it turns out I have to buy it. So
Yeah,
I'm
I
like,
haven't seen it. All I remember is the for weeks on Dan Merrill's when he does the box office thing. He's like, I started a box office show on my own channel once the box office kind of was irrelevant because of COVID, and it was in the top 5 each because it was being released in Canada only in the
yeah.
movie theaters and not in the US.
So what's
That's
funny
The
about
only thing
this
I
is
know
what I
about
heard.
that.
Oh, there's a SpongeBob movie in theaters. I'm like, oh, cool. They re-released it like all the other companies are doing it. I didn't know this was a new movie. I thought this was a re-release.
Yeah,
No,
I
Wow.
know.
I didn't hear about it till it hit theaters.
I don't think we got it yet.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
we
think-
didn't. It wasn't released in theaters in the US. It was only released in Canada, but domestic numbers include the US and Canada.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right.
Hmm.
So Matt is one of us. One
So it's
of us.
it's finally finally we have a
We're
movie
like
that
the
I
light
made
beer to
bigger and you guys
Americans.
can't.
Yeah. Yep, definitely.
I should probably give SpongeBob a shot, like because it completely skipped me. And clips I had seen, I found SpongeBob to be a little annoying. But I mean, I should probably just get off my ass and
Bring
give it
it
a shot.
around town.
Yeah, go ahead. It's only 20. Well, it's only 20 seasons.
Ugh.
Yeah, I
We're
will
not
say
doing
Just
that.
watch the first two. The first two are the only ones that are actually good.
there's
Okay.
classic SpongeBob episodes and classic SpongeBob memes. And like everyone who's around like mine and 50's age has seen SpongeBob.
Mm.
It's kind of
For those of you who watch SEN.
chocolate.
Chocolate!
Okay.
But so there's fun. I think for now, as adults, the funnier part is the memes and the actual show.
Yeah, it's true.
From
Yeah,
But-
and some of the references, but the sexual innuendos in that
Yeah.
show. Like when SpongeBob is watching something on TV and it turns out it's kind of like fish porn, where he sees a little anemone just going back and forth, and SpongeBob is like, and then Gary shows up, meow, and he's like, Gary, no, I was watching the sports channel. That's it.
Nice.
Okay, my number one.
Yeah.
It came out on Hulu. I don't know about up in Canada or
You know we
Israel.
don't have Hulu. Come on.
Come on, you Americans.
All the best of entertainment, you fuckers. Okay.
Palm Springs.
You still complain about being locked up at home. Just say.
Pumped. No, I haven't seen it, obviously. Give me a second.
Wait, what was it? I was too busy with a joke. What did you say?
Palm Springs.
Hmm.
Kind of like the new Groundhog Day.
Okay.
I heard about it. Haven't seen it for obvious reasons.
It
yeah, I haven't seen it either, but
it's funny. It's a time loop movie. If you like time loop movies, it's a good one. And what this one actually does, they actually give you a fucking explanation about why there is a time loop. In every other time loop movie, there are no explanations. This one gives you one. And
Okay.
yeah, you'll like the actress from
It's
this
on
one.
Amazon Prime in Canada, so I'll watch it on there.
You like the
Oh,
actress.
good for you.
Sorry, 50.
You like the actress in this. It is the mother from How I Met Your Mother.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Kristen Milotti.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
mother
yeah,
from How I Met
yeah.
Your Mother. My mother from another mother.
Yeah. A
Let me make
funny
sure.
movie, and I highly recommend it. It's my favorite movie from last year.
I've
Nice.
heard nothing but good things about
too.
it, so it's definitely on my list to eventually watch.
Same.
Mine too.
I'm actually surprised my number one hasn't been brought up yet. Hamilton.
I haven't seen it.
I'm not
I
surprised.
was in with me. I guess I didn't count it. I should have, but I didn't.
Well, why is that?
I think because it was a recording of a play.
Still
The
counts.
recording was
What?
of I think the
2016, but
recording
it
was
was released in
2016.
2020.
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
mean,
but we talked about this yesterday on Shooting the Breeze. It's not a movie. It's a recording of a stage play. Do you count that as a movie?
I would. It's feature length.
Well, if you would, I mean, it's not on your list. I'm not going to tell you, but
Yeah,
we were talking about this with our guest yesterday. He was nominated for stuff in the Golden Globes. It's not a movie. Why would you nominate a non-movie for movie categories?
I think well, they constantly are claiming it is a movie on Netflix and stuff like that. It is feature length.
On
I
Netflix?
mean, the concept of a movie does originally come from a stage play.
yeah. No. I'm not going to knock you for
Yeah,
picking it.
No.
It's just my brain didn't
it is one
think
of
of
those.
it.
It is one of those ones that is very semantics. Like I did weigh
Yeah,
whether putting it on or not, but to me, it is still a movie.
I absolutely
You
loved it.
consider it a
So
movie,
I
then
love this
yeah.
pick. Yeah.
Yeah, like
If it was considered like if semantics aside, I think it was my favorite thing that I watched in
mhm.
2020. So I don't and no yucking your yums for picking it your number one because I loved it.
I had tried to listen to the music before I saw the movie, and I had even played the music in band, and it just didn't click with me because you listen to it, and it's like I don't have any context of this. I'm not really into like hip hop and all that jazz. Once I saw it, though, I got it. Everything just clicked. Like, oh my god, the way they were able to weave the music in there, like the styles they went for, the acting, like David Diggs and all those guys. Like, holy crap, they all nailed it. And of course, the King. Like, the King has some of my favorite character of the play.
Yeah, it was so good, so good.
It's amazing.
Let me ask you
I
guys
haven't watched it since though, but it has stuck with me. Like, I mean, the music, like My Shot, dear God, that is a great tune.
Let me
And
ask you guys
Lin-Manuel Miranda has joked about that My Shot, if he can get through the lyrics in My Shot, he can do the rest of the play
Yeah.
because that's the fastest, hardest lyrics for him. Although he says the hardest song was the Renee's song, though not Helpless, but the one right after that, Satisfied. He says
Oh, that's
that
a
is
good
the
tune.
hardest song in the entire play,
Yeah,
and that
I believe it.
when she came to the audition, they said that she did not get the music until the night before. And he was like, oh, well, why are we having this audition? This is the hardest song in the play. And she came in and absolutely like did a phenomenal job, had it memorized, had you've seen it in the movie, in the play,
Yeah,
like in the musical. It's so she's so good in that role and she's so good in that song that
100%.
he was like, she's my oh my god, Eliza and Angelica. She's my
Yeah.
Angelica.
No, she was. Oh my god, that song. Yeah, you're right. That is a mind blowing song. The performance that was like, holy shit! Give her all the awards.
Can I
And
ask you,
she won the Tony
That's true.
for it.
can I ask you guys a question?
Of course.
Do you, since this is a movie on Disney Plus, do you ever think of making more of a traditional movie, like, and that one that,
Oh, they're
oh,
going to. They have
yeah,
to.
They have to. They did it for
That's
In the
not to.
Heights. I'm sure it's going to
Yeah,
happen.
yeah. They're gonna have to at this point.
The
may,
only
may,
thing with it is that if they do the movie, that whole aging thing is going to be so like in the play, like you suspend your disbelief because he's 19 at the beginning and then he's an old
Yeah.
man kind of at the end, and then like his son is a grown man playing a 9-year-old at
Mhm.
the beginning of the second act and then is playing a 19-year-old at the end. So I think with if they do a movie, that's going to be going to have different actors playing.
Oh yeah,
Movie
exactly.
night.
You're not going to be able to do the dual roles. It'll just be too confusing
Yeah.
for a lot of audiences.
Either that or, I'm sorry I have to say this, but de-aging or aging up. Computer.
Maybe. What I've always said I wanted to do is I always wanted to see the Cursed Child done like this. I wish they had done what they did with Hamilton for that. So that way
Yeah,
people on our side of the country of the world um would be able to see it.
yep, I
Hmm.
feel the same way.
Yeah.
I mean, like, HBO, well, never mind.
Anything's possible. All right, what's your number one, Soul?
So my number one, again, I watched this last night with my parents, and it's One Night in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not my number
I
one just
wonder
because
why it's on your list.
yeah, I was like, it's not my number one just because it's Miami. But I will read the synopsis here. It goes, set on the night of February 25th, 1964, One Night in Miami follows a young, brash Cassius Clay, which is
Muhammad
Muhammad
Ali,
Ali.
baby.
Um, as he emerges from the Miami Beach Convention Center, the new heavyweight boxing champion of the world, against all odds, he defeats Sonny Liston and shocked the sports world. While crowds of people swarm Miami Beach to celebrate the match, Clay, unable to stay on the island because of Drimco era segregation laws, spend the evening at a Hampton House motel in Miami's African American Overtown neighborhood, celebrating the three of his closest friends, Malcolm X, Sam Cooke, and Jim Brown. Now, this movie is obviously based
On
on
a play.
historical events. It's
And a
based
play.
on a play, which Kemp Powers is the author, the writer for the play as well as for the movie. This is Regina King's directorial debut, and she
Wait, really?
kills it.
Oh,
Absolutely kills it.
I have to watch it now. Holy fuck.
Yeah, and the fact too that you have these four famous black men of Muhammad Ali, Malcolm X, Sam Cooke, Jim Brown, who are
Arguably the most famous African Americans, I would
right.
say.
Arguably, yes. Other
And
than Martin Luther King.
Yeah, of
yeah,
course.
and the fact too that it's one of my favorite types of movies is movies like 12 Angry Men, that is like 12
Mhm.
men in one room. This is basically four men in one hotel room, although like sometimes they're on the roof of the hotel.
Yeah.
They break off in like but it's very much a conversational. It's very much on what are the words that these men are saying to each other? What are it's and it's so good. It's such a powerful movie. It's such a good movie. You really see the thought process of Cassius Clay deciding to full on become a Muslim and
Mhm.
go to be Cassius X and then become Muhammad Ali. And by basically the conversations and things that he had with Malcolm X, you see kind of the struggle that Malcolm X is going through in him. Like he's with these three talented men where you have arguably one of the best football players ever in Jim Brown. You
Mhm.
have one of the best musicians in Sam Cooke. You have one of the best boxers in Muhammad Ali. And he's there looking at himself saying, what is my worth? And all of those things too in this movie. And that the conversations that he has with Sam Cooke, that interaction between each other is so good, just so good, and it has Leslie Odom Jr. in it, and you get to hear him sing. So, mention of uh, Matt's number one, he played Aaron Burr in Hamilton,
Yep.
and so he's playing Sam Cooke in this role,
Oh, fucking A.
and you get to hear him sing a change is gonna come, and then he also you get to hear Chain Gang to him sing that, and it's such a good movie. I enjoyed it
I'm
so
watching this tonight.
much. It's on Amazon Prime. Go watch it. I thought it was a 2021 release movie. It's a 2020 movie, and if
Christmas movie.
Leslie Odom Jr. um gets nominated and gets an Oscar from this, he's an Emmy away from being an EGOT.
Oh, right on.
And I just hope Regina King has to be nominated for Best Director. She has to. This was so good.
I grew up listening to my dad tell me stories about Muhammad Ali. Because of that, I have a massive respect for him. This movie is right up my fucking alley. And yeah, so I'm gonna be watching this tonight, and to hear, because honestly, I actually didn't know anything about it up until what you just described. Didn't know it was about Cassius Clay and all that jazz.
Yeah.
And so listening to it, what you just said, it seems like this moment in time is a seminal moment because it is the beginning of the transformation of Cassius Clay to Muhammad Ali. It is an important moment in history.
And the thing too with this movie is that night he was with Malcolm X. So when he beat Sonny Liston and who he hung out with that night, it was Muhammad Ali and Malcolm X. The other two weren't there. Sam Cooke and Jim Brown were not there in real life, but all four of them were very good friends and like hung out with each other. And so when he wrote the play for it, when Kemp Powers wrote the play for it, he decided to put those two there in that because the four of them were very good friends with each other. So that's the part that is the fiction side of the historical fiction, is that those two men weren't there in real life, but Muhammad Ali and Malcolm X were.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch it. This is going to be my.
I got to add it to my list.
Yeah, me too.
Four men making history.
Oh, 100%. And like, I don't know if any of you guys have listened to Sam Cooke's music. Dude's amazing, man. The dude is great.
And
I'm sure I've listened to it without realizing it.
His name, Kingsley Ben Adir, who plays Malcolm X, though there's moments in there where like my mom made the comment when we were watching it, she goes, some of his speaking sound very Obama-esque. And she was like, I wonder if this is him saying, hey, I could play Obama whenever you make that movie about Obama. And then like, because I didn't even realize, I was just like, wow, Obama has a lot of the speech patterns that Malcolm X had. And that the fact that like I could see both Malcolm X and Obama in that role.
You can see the impact of Malcolm X in a lot of African American leaders. Okay, so that brings the end to our lists, and a lot of us have some good watching material to look forward to. I cannot wait. Okay, so your turn for next week's topic, Ben.
Okay, well, it's Valentine's Day weekend, right? I believe.
Yes.
So I've been thinking, okay, we could either do something romantic or something funny.
Top 5 horror movies.
Funny. I go funny.
All of us very single here.
So let's do the 5 words. Couples who have chemistry in movies. Or on screen.
So explain that a little bit.
Okay, I think we all agree Thor from the MCU is a really good movie. But Thor and Natalie Portman's chemistry, not that good.
Okay, I get what you're going for.
Anakin and Padme's chemistry in Attack of the Clones, not that good.
You really hate Natalie Portman then, don't you?
This is gonna be my hardest list because I actually gonna have to turn on my critic part of my brain because I don't like to critic movies per se. This is gonna be fucking hard.
I think too.
And if any of you guys say Rocking Adrian, I'm gonna fly to where you live and I'm gonna castrate you.
And when I've watched the Clone Wars, the relationship between Anakin and Padme are so good in the Clone Wars series that it makes it better in Attack of the Clones for me.
But in Attack of the Clones, though, they're pretty they're shit. Anywho,
that was my first Star Wars movie, so I love it with all of my heart.
You know, there was the part of my life when I saw it that I said this was my favorite Star Wars movie, and I look back at it now and think, punch him.
So yeah, I admit that it's a bad movie. Yeah. I still love it with all of my heart.
I still watch it all the time. Don't get me wrong, but I objectively think it is the worst Star Wars movie.
I think the Phantom Menace is worse than Attack of the. I think Attack of the Clones is better than Phantom Menace, but that's a conversation for another day.
Right, it is. But I actually am the other way around on that because I was of the right age when Phantom Menace came out, so I feel about it like you do about Attack of the Clones.
we can talk about that another time. But
Yes, sir.
And if you want to go watch and hear more of that conversation, go watch the last episode of Soul Talk. We've talked about Attack of the Clones in
There
that.
you go.
Nice. See, Ben, this is where I'm going to struggle because I have no chemistry with anyone, so it's going to hard for me to find chemistry in a movie.
Oh,
And whenever people say it's true, whenever people say, "Oh, these two characters have great chemistry," or "These two characters have bad chemistry," I'm like, I don't see either. I mean, like, they're characters in a movie. They're actors getting paid to say stuff. I don't know. I don't recognize chemistry in movies or TV shows when I watch them. So
I think
TV shows as well.
I think when you have really good chemistry, you could tell.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Meg Ryan and Billy Crystal when Harry Met Sally,
Right.
or Han and Leia.
Do we want to do mass chemistry? Would that make it easier?
Probably
That would make it a lot easier.
a lot easier.
Okay, that's your top 5 mass chemistry.
Okay.
Yeah, that would
Okay.
be.
Yeah, definitely a lot easier.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go into a lab and take some chemicals and mix them into a tree, and that'll be my chemistry for the day.
Nice.
Perfect.
Nice. And on that note, Soul, where can everybody find you?
You can find me at SoulGovin on Twitter, at soul.k.govin on Instagram. You can find me every Wednesday for Soul Talk here on the Media. You can find me every Sunday.
Oh, you made it through most of the show without this happening.
It just happened to die while you were doing your plugs.
Okay,
And she's got another show after this.
yeah, you can find Govin on .k.govin Instagram. You can find me at Soul Talk. You can find every Sunday with these fine Saturday now.
Yeah.
With fine gentlemen's, and then also today at 3 p.m. PST, 6 p.m. Eastern is a Marshall and John and Warfather on the Ultimate Schmodown show on John Roca's channel. So go.
Yes, definitely check that out. They need the views.
Totally.
I'm kidding. Definitely check it out. Great show. How about you, 50?
You can find me on my YouTube channel, 50 Shades of Geek, and my gaming channel, 50 Shades of Gaming, which I'll be doing stuff with in the next couple of weeks. You can also find me out on Twitch, 50 Shades O Geek without the F. I do a series where I try, emphasis on try, to beat all of Pokemon Shield using only a Shedinja. And you should know by now, if you're a Pokemon fan, how impossible that is. I already ran into several annoying roadblocks on that series, which will eventually be on my gaming channel, 50 Shades of Gaming. And you can also check out my Patreon. It's called Pokemon Star, Cross, and Crescent. I make a fan game of Pokemon based on Israel, the country where I live in. So, and I've got some new stuff to show, by the way. Just saying.
Right on. Can't wait to see
This
it.
is the time to do it.
All right, Ben. You?
You can find me everywhere at Pet Radio 2 every Saturday right here on Get Ready. Every Sunday morning, 9:30 a.m. on Pet's Hot Takes. We go live tomorrow for the second episode. Every Tuesday on Shooting the Breeze with Matt here. Every Friday on Recapping the Past, again with Matt. And every Saturday also on Mount Schmodown, my other YouTube channel, where you can find me in about an hour and 25 minutes from now.
And
You're going head to head, you two.
Yeah, well, yeah, almost.
Almost. I think his comes on, and then as his is ending,
Yeah,
mine starts.
Hey, great transition.
Not head to head.
yeah.
And you can find me, as it says up above, at soda_the_saxman. You can find me everywhere on this channel that Ben has plugged. You can find me over my other channel, Schmoes of the North, where we do the weekly Schmodown beat, and we interview people from in and around the Schmodown. And hopefully, if all goes well, we will have a great one tomorrow night. I'm not going to reveal it just in case. So definitely do that. And don't forget to like and subscribe on this channel and everywhere. So y'all have yourself a great rest of your day, and we will see you later. And don't forget, everybody, stay sweaty,